Head to head with Harvard. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. We begin with breaking news. A federal judge temporarily blocking President Trump's decision to ban Harvard from admitting international students. That's after Harvard sued the administration and accused the president of retaliating against the Ivy League school for its support of policies he doesn't like. The Department of Homeland Security accusing Harvard of failing to give pertinent information while perpetrating an unsafe campus environment that is hostile to Jewish students. Senior White House correspondent Selena Wang leads us off now. So, Selena, let's talk about the latest on the back and forth and what comes next.
Yeah, Kira, well, this is a major escalation in this broader battle between the Trump administration and Harvard University. Now, this judge is issuing temporary reprieve for Harvard University. The judge did not rule on the merits of the lawsuit, but issued this temporary restraining order. This comes after Harvard University had sued the Trump administration for banning international students from enrolling at Harvard and saying that existing international students had to transfer or lose their legal status. The Department of Homeland Security had demanded that Harvard turn over detailed records of its foreign students, saying that they had 72 hours to comply if they wanted to reverse that ban. Now, we're talking about an impact on about a quarter of Harvard's total student body, around 7,000 students who are international students. And Harvard swiftly reacted, saying that the Trump administration's move is unlawful and unwarranted. And just moments ago, Kira, I spoke to Larry Summers, who is the former president of Harvard and the former Treasury Secretary. Take a listen to what he told me.
We are throwing away that immense strategic advantage. And for what? To try to stifle the progress of scientific research, to try to limit the rate at which students can be given scholarships. This is setting America back. It's hard to imagine a larger strategic gift that we could give China than alienating the most talented young people in the world whose dream was to come to the United States and are now seeing it shattered.
And Kara, Larry Summers called the Trump administration's move, quote, mindless and vengeful. And he also made the point that when it comes to higher education, we export far more than we import, with so many talented people from around the world that want to come and study in this country, far more than in the U.S. who go abroad.
So Harvard's also suing the administration over its effort to pull more than $2 billion in federal funding. How does all of this tie together now?
Yeah, so Harvard University is claiming that all of this is part of the Trump administration's, quote, campaign of retribution. As you mentioned, the university has already sued the Trump administration for freezing over $2 billion in federal funds for Harvard's refusal to comply with the government's demands that they change their curriculum, their admissions policies, their DEI programs. And many professors on campus, they're outraged by this. We spoke to one who said that this seems like an example of the Trump administration acting in a, quote, clearly authoritarian manner, saying they're trying to punish Harvard for not bending to its political will.
All right, Selena Wang for us from the White House. Selena, thank you. And despite this ruling, the decision is having major impact on many students now in legal limbo. Existing foreign students now forced to transfer or lose their legal status in the U.S. Here's some of the reaction.
It's a mixture of like shock, then to kind of just, devastation, like frustration, and then uncertainty, anxiety. It's a combination of all of those feelings, I would say, among students in the community right now.
Joining me now, Rabbi Jason Rubenstein, Executive Director of the Harvard Hillel, the university's Center for Jewish Life on campus. Rabbi, so good to see you. What's your reaction, first of all, to the administration's decision here?
So it's a shocking decision. It's a scary one for Harvard. And one of the things that we feel particularly acutely is many of our most promising students, most active students, most forceful advocates for Israel are themselves foreign students. They're Israelis, they're veterans of the Israel Defense Forces. And our community would suffer a tremendous loss were we to lose them among our ranks.
Well, the administration is saying that anti-Semitism is out of control and that Harvard is actually bending the knee. Is this the answer to fighting anti-Semitism on our college campuses?
There is an anti-Semitism problem and a problem of discrimination against Israelis and against Israel at Harvard, and it's broad and it's deep. And Harvard has taken the first steps, many of them big steps, to addressing that. We're nowhere near the end of that road. But here, the government has set itself up as judge, jury, and executioner. There's really meaningful civil rights oversight to be done. We have to establish facts. You have to propose remedies. You have to negotiate. And were all those things to be happening, we would be grateful and eager supporters, but that's not what's happening today.
Just your thought on the anti-Semitism. Why is it so out of control? Why has it reached this level?
So places like Harvard, and Harvard's not unique in any way here, the other elite universities and literary culture are similar, have a kind of fashionable anti-Israel animus, which can be part of the curriculum in certain departments, is part of the social fabric. Students often come from their high school English classes or progressive activism. And it's really a downstream byproduct of the university losing track of that guiding North Star of academic excellence, of meritocracy, of the pursuit of truth, even when theories, and especially when it doesn't fit our theories. And so we've seen certain parts, not all, not most, but certain parts of the university captured by a kind of progressive orthodoxy that's been anti-Zionist for over a century. And I give President Garber and his team credit for really forcefully addressing the issue on those terms and being willing to take steps, including some hard personnel and policy steps, and making big changes to begin to restore the university to the right path there.
Well said. In a statement, you say, despite the positive elements of the government's recent demands, this move is neither focused nor measured and stands to substantially harm the very Jewish students and scholars it purports to protect. You did say that just a few moments ago, but let's get specific. In what ways?
The most direct one is many of the researchers who've had their labs shuttered over the last few weeks are Jewish. They're members of our community. Many of the foreign students I mentioned are members of our community. And more broadly, the fate of Harvard's Jewish community is intimately bound up with that of Harvard. And this place needs surgery, but surgery that's done by a ostensible doctor who has neither sufficient knowledge of anatomy nor care for an investment in the welfare and recovery of the patient isn't surgery, it's an attack. And I'm afraid that that's what we're seeing today.